Did a German chemist accidentally create the most controversial guitar finish ever? Kinda. Stick around. Let's get nerdy. Polyurethane. Man, it has gotten such a bad rap. It's definitely the redheaded stepchild of all guitar finishes. If it has polyurethane on it, it has to be bad. And it's so bad that they can't even say the entire name. They refer to it just as poly, which is confusing because that's polyurethane or polyester. But what does that even mean? I mean, and why is it so bad? It's not. Let me go ahead and say that right up front. Polyurethane is not a bad finish for a guitar. It's not what kind of finish that's on the guitar, it's how much. That's the important thing. Too much of anything on the guitar will prevent it from vibrating. That's the whole idea. So if we have too much finish, be it lacquer, shellac, varnish, polyurethane, whatever, it's not going to vibrate as well. In 1937, a German chemist named Otto Baer, not to be confused with Bayer aspirin, created, accidentally kinda, polyurethane. And throughout World War II was used as a coating for warplanes in Germany. It wasn't until later in the 1950s and into the 1960s that we start to see it used more commercially and more industrially. I do want you to know that whenever I'm talking about polyurethane right now, I'm not talking about that, okay? The kind of stuff that you get at Home Depot or Lowe's, this is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a two-part system that is the resin and a catalyst that will allow it to harden. Paint's evolution in the 20th century was just like anything else. It was driven by time and money. In order to be able to produce things faster and use less material, then we need a better product. Fender in the 1950s was using an oil-based polyurethane product that was made by Sherwin-Williams called Homoclad. They still make that to this day. It has a yellowish tint, the yellowish center of a two-tone sunburst. That's Homoclad. By the early 1960s, they started using a different type of product that was catalyzed, two-part, a resin and a hardener that would then be used as their sealer. That was called Fullerplast. Gibson also used this, particularly after they bought the Flatiron Mandolin Company. Gibson used it as a pore filler and a sealer as well. Car companies started making the shift from nitrocellulose lacquer into more synthetic materials like acrylic lacquers and then eventually a two-part polyurethane for the top coat because it was fuel resistant, it was flexible, it went on faster, and it dried faster. By January of 1965, Leo Fender sells Fender to the CBS Television Corporation. In a matter of cutting costs, you start to see Fenders move away from using nitrocellulose lacquer and using polyurethane because it dried faster. They were able to reduce and to get more guitars out. Now here is where things get weird. Here's where people start to say nasty things about polyurethane. Because it was also being put on guitars that were cheap, that were coming in from other countries, folks associated those types of finishes with inexpensive guitars. Since Fender was trying to cut costs, the further and further they got along, they started putting on more and more polyurethane so that new sanders in the finishing department wouldn't sand through. When they sanded through, they had to kick it back and have it repainted. That just meant more time and more money. Thicker finish, no danger of someone sanding through. Is polyurethane really a bad finish? No, not at all. Polyurethane is actually a really great finish. It's super, super clear. It is flexible. It's very resistant to scratches. It's resistant to dents, dings, chips. It's a super cool finish. It doesn't yellow like lacquer. It discolors a little over time, but definitely nothing like lacquer. It's also weather resistant, so you don't see those checks and stuff that you would see in lacquer. That's why an older guitar that's painted with polyurethane doesn't have any of that cracking. Does it have some downfalls? Yeah. Polyurethane is expensive, but unlike lacquer, it's solid content, meaning the stuff that's left on the guitar body after all the solvents and the catalyst make everything dry and hardened. All of that is a higher content than you would find in lacquer. So with one coat, more polyurethane stays on the work surface than one coat of lacquer. Polyurethane is expensive. It's also kind of a pain in the butt to work with. It doesn't sand well. Because it's flexible, it's scratch resistant. So, well, sandpaper scratches. That's kind of its thing. Once you do sand it, getting it buffed so that it's good and clear again takes a lot of work. You definitely have to have a booth and respirator if you're going to be shooting polyurethane. That stuff's nasty. Remember, it is catalyzed. So when you breathe in those fumes and breathe in any of the airborne atomized fluid, it's going to get into your lungs. It has a catalyst in it. That catalyst is going to cause that to harden. It'll make your lungs really hard. Whenever that happens, you can't breathe. So over time, it can kill you. That's not cool at all. Like the last video, this is polyurethane. This is 10 ounces of polyurethane that doesn't have the catalyst added just yet. You can see it's very, very clear. It's nothing like the sample, again, that lacquer looks like. Right now, I could leave this in here for a while and it would still be like this. If I added the catalyst here, then in just several minutes, it would start to solidify. Now, unlike lacquer, whenever you shoot a coat, then you can shoot another coat later at any time, really, and it'll create a chemical bond. With polyurethane, you have that limited window. So you have about 25 to 30 minutes or so where you can shoot another coat while the first one is still a little tacky. Then it will melt into itself and create one coating, creating a chemical bond. If you allow it to what's called skin over or even dry overnight, then you'll have to come back and scuff that in order to create what's called a mechanical bond. That's where the sanding scratches are going to provide a tooth for our new coating to adhere to. It's going to give it something to grab on. Whenever you're sanding to be able to sand this level to buff the thing, if you sand through one of those layers of your mechanical bond, you will see a halo. You will notice that those are two distinctly different layers. Of the three, lacquer, polyurethane, and polyester, it's my least favorite just because of its expense and it's user hostile. I don't really like working with polyurethane. It's also worth noting that there are single-stage polyurethanes that don't require the catalyst, and they're an air cure, just like lacquer. You see those used for colors. We would lay down the sealer, and then our color coats in a polyurethane finish would be a single stage, so that you could lay down all of your colors, and then finally your catalyzed top coat. So next week, we'll wrap it up with polyester. Remember, poly, it's not just one word. Polyester is way different than polyurethane. We will go over all of that. And then, like I said before, hit on a couple of other honorable mentions. As always, until I see you again, don't do anything weird or don't tell anyone, okay? I'll see you soon.